Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my friend Tyler Schwendy. You might know him. He's from SafeBridge Mortgages. He's a trusted resource for myself and many of my clients in the past. And today Tyler's going to talk to us about a few things. I guess I might as well start with interest rates.
Sure.
Everyone wants to know about that. What's going
Yeah.
on
Well,
there?
they're at all-time lows, as you know. I'm sure people are seeing crazy rates advertised. And so now it's actually a great time to look at if you're in a higher rate, like even something in the mid twos, 2% range, I should say, could actually make sense to refinance or transfer out to a different lender, depending upon the penalty calculation. Now, I have been seeing massive penalty calculations because of the huge discrepancy in a lot of people's rates versus what they have versus what is being lent out right now. So it's really just a calculation I run to determine if it makes sense. But in some people's cases, it could save them thousands in interest.
Wow. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Now, the first time home buyers incentive, that's been making the news lately. There's been some changes coming, specifically in the Toronto and Vancouver and some of the bigger city markets. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the Liberal government has proposed an extension to the first-time homebuyers incentive to three cities: Toronto, Vancouver, and Victoria. So basically, it's allowing people now to cap at, I think, $722,000 for a purchase price. So what that means is that they'll give you an additional 5%. So you bring 5% down payment to the table, they match the 5%. So you're at 10% down. It lowers your cost of borrowing. But there's a catch 22 because on the back end, when you sell, the government gets a portion of your appreciated value because they gave you kind of a cut in the property. They have stake in the property. So on the back end, they will basically, it'll reduce your net proceeds of sale.
Interesting.
So
Now,
say,
is that kind of an open-ended thing? Can you pay that off at any time, or is that only at the time of sale that you can pay that off?
yeah, it's either 25 years. So either you hit 25 years, they'll just request you pay it back,
Right,
or upon sale.
upon sale. Good to know. Good to know.
And so, yeah, the problem in the past was that running the numbers of the program, you actually qualified for less than if you just put 5% down on your own without having the government help you. It actually
Right.
limited you in your borrowing power. Now, this program, based upon the math, it should increase buying power slightly, but it's marginal at best. So for a lot of people, it might not even make sense because you're like, well, the government has a stake in my earnings. Like this could, what I'm trying to say is it might not be proportional. Like your appreciation could be hundreds of thousands, but now they're saying I want half of that stake. Like it's a very gray area as to how the government's going to get their money back. Does that make sense? I hope.
It makes a little bit more sense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's coming up in May, you said?
April that it's
April.
being relaunched. Like we don't know all the specifics yet, but my history with the program is doesn't really work for a lot of people. It also caps at $150,000 gross family income, which in Toronto, most families are well beyond that.
Right, right. Especially if you're buying in that price range.
Yeah.
No, good to know. Any other news in the mortgage world that you'd like to share with us?
Well, rates are kind of the driving factor. I think it's spurring a lot of the demand in buyers on the buyer side. I know on your end, I've heard from you and about the lack of inventory out there right now and how that's fueling home prices, but the interest rates too. Like people are seeing these interest rates and they're like, man, like my cost of borrowing is so low. But I think there's a catch 22 that I set out as a disclaimer to a lot of my clients, and it's you know get ready to pay 3% or 3.5% when you come out of renewal in 5 years. Like make sure you're budgeting for a higher mortgage payment because these rates are only here for a short period of time.
Right, right. So if you had one message for buyers thinking of getting into the market right now, what would that be?
Be patient
Be patient.
because hopefully the spring brings a flood of inventory where people are like, I want to cash out. But uh, for right now, it's be patient and be prepared. Like I have to, the due diligence I go through with my pre-approved clients is very intensive because if you want to be competitive, you got to be prepared, you know,
Right.
is
Get
so that,
pre-qualified.
yeah. And that means like even looking at the specifics of each property that my clients want to offer on. Like I'll ask them to send me a listing for any property they're offering on so we can go through it. I can provide like a revised, borrowing cost of borrowing breakdown so they know what the expected closing and carrying costs are. And, if there's any deficiencies with the property, we can talk about that too. So you just don't want to walk in blindly and make offers without communicating with your mortgage agent.
Great, great. Well, very informative as always. I always look forward to our chats.
Likewise.
So thank you so much. And if you have any questions about mortgages, I can put you in contact with Tyler. I have, as always, I give my clients some options, but Tyler's always among the top for who I'd like to talk to. So thank you so much, Tyler. It was great seeing you.
Thanks again, Dave.
Talk again soon.